this too, so that way I can put it in our communities and you guys can access it. So I'm recording it right now, and there is a chat available if you guys need to chat. So today we're going to be talking about getting started. Now I know that really what it on the calendar it said submitting offers, but we're going to adjust the schedule a little bit. So what's going to happen is every Monday from now on at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, what I'll do is I will go over a getting started call with people, and we're going to talk about how to get this business started and how to launch it. Now, I know that there's some of you that might be thinking, well, you know, I've heard this call before, and I may not necessarily need it. And I have to tell you that the more times that you hear this message, the more times that you hear this content, the more likely that you're going to be successful at it anyway. So every Monday, 9 a.m., what we will do is we will have a getting started call, which is, you know, how to get started in this business. Okay. So that's the first thing. Now, the second thing is that on Wednesdays at 9 a.m., what I'll do is I'll do the subsequent training. So I have basically a whole 4-week, 1 month training course where we're going to go over getting started. One's going to be comping. The second one is going to be submitting offers. The fourth one is actually the third one, submitting offers. The fourth one is going to be marketing deals, marketing opportunities to investors. So we're going to go through everything from cradle to grave, and we will repeat this cycle every single month. All right. Now, for those of you who are participating in this, this is your opportunity to come in and ask questions. This is an opportunity for you to basically be able to inquire and to learn how to do this business. One of my biggest pet peeves is for someone who sends me a message, you know, through DM, through text, through email, through school, through whatever. They'll shoot me a message. And last Friday, I'll be online at 9 a.m. ready to answer questions, ready to go over anything anybody needs help with. And then the person that's asking me that question, the person that needs help on a particular topic, the person that is reaching out to me wasn't on that call, but I'm setting aside my morning, an hour of my time to be able to be there so that I could, you know, offer guidance, and yet they weren't on that call. So that's a huge, huge pet peeve of mine, is when someone will come and ask me a question, but they're not participating on the calls. But Paul, I have a job. I get it. Listen, I understand. I know we all have responsibilities. Some of us have children. Some of us have, I call it the 4 F's, right? We've got faith, we've got family, we've got finances, we've got fitness. We've got the 4 F's. I get it. We all have them. So just do what you can with what you've got and try to get in on these calls so that way you can ask the questions that you need. All right. I'm well aware that everybody has different schedules and not everyone's going to be able to participate on every call. That's why I do them, you know, multiple times during the week. Okay. So check the calendar because we're updating it again, but every Monday is getting started. So today we're going to be talking about getting started and launching your business so that you could start building it. Now, if you don't know, I like slides. I'm one of these slides guys. And the reason I like slides is so that way it's just not a talking head, and it helps me stay on point and it helps me stay organized. I like using AI to help me create these slides. So as you can tell, these are a bunch of dragon mascots on a track field wearing Nike track outfits that say Dispo on them. And this is what AI produced for me. Let's get going. All right, let's talk about getting started. Now, one of the few things that I do need a favor of from everyone is please be sure that you are following our content on social media. Now, we're everywhere you look us up, we're at DispoDragons. So Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, LinkedIn, right? Threads, X, whatever platform it is that you like to use. Now, I'm not suggesting that you follow us on all the platforms. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying on your preferred medium, whatever it is that you like using, give us a follow. Right? Give us a follow, participate in the conversation, participate in the content. That's why we're putting it out there. All right. There's no cost of admission for social media, right? But all we're asking for is like participation. So give us a like and a follow on the social media platform that you prefer to use. As some of you know or may not know, I got to get a hold of you because I don't think you ever got it, but I'm going to make sure that it goes out. This is a book that I published. It is on Amazon. I tried doing a self-checkout on using PayPal. That didn't go so well. But if you hop on Amazon right now, you can pick up the book. It's called Deal Like a Dove, Dispo Like a Dragon. It's 400 pages of how to build this business, on how to do it. You can read it or you can listen to it on Audible. If you subscribe to Audible, it'll cost you one of your Audible credits. You can go to bit.ly, bit.ly, and then // Dispo Dragon book. Okay, and you can pick it up. If you're watching this on the screen, you can also use this QR code and it'll take you straight to the Amazon page. Amazon doesn't like redirects. So what will happen is you'll click on it and then it'll say Amazon. It'll be an Amazon page, but then it'll say click to continue. Then once you click on that, it'll take you straight to the page. Okay. All right. Now, getting started. Number one, I need you to suspend all doubt about whether this business works or whether it doesn't work. All right. If you're looking at this and if you're a part of our profit sharing group, then I need you to suspend all doubt. This business works. There are other people who are making money in this business, in this profession, doing the things that we teach, doing the things that we cover, using the strategies that we recommend, using the tools that we recommend. There are people already succeeding in this business. Some of them are on a very, very small scale, and some of them are on a very, very large scale. We're talking multiple six-figure incomes and even seven-figure incomes, and some people are at eight-figure incomes, okay? So it's already working. The question isn't does this work? The question is, can you make it work for yourself? So I want you to suspend all disbelief that this business may or may not work. The question is, can you make it work for you? That's what we want to dive into, and we're going to go into how to make it work for you. Second thing is, I don't want you to compare where you are right now versus where somebody else is in this business. Okay, there's that saying, comparison is the thief of progress and joy. There are going to be some people in this business who, as luck would have it, they're going to have success very, very early on. There are going to be some people who are going to get in this business, and it may take them 90 days. It may take them 6 days to really get the ball rolling before they start to have some success in this business. Wherever you're at, there will always be somebody who is going to be a little bit ahead of you. There are people that are ahead of me in my own journey within this business, within this profession. There are people who have gotten in this business after me, who are younger than me, succeeding even more than me. And, I've been in this business since I was 18 years old. That's just a part of life. And so what I'm suggesting is that you don't compare where you are at right now versus where somebody else is. Additionally, all right, you don't know how many different endeavors other people have attempted prior to getting into this business. All right. There are people that have tried other businesses. There are people that have tried other techniques or strategies in our business. They've tried flipping, they've tried property management, they've tried Airbnb, they've tried the Burr method, they've tried all these other different methods. And so now what they've done is they've taken that experience and they've brought it into this business. And you don't know how that experience is going to impact them when they get started. So when you see someone and you're like, oh my gosh, this person, I feel like they just got started, and you see them in our community and you see them in other people's communities, and then you see them succeeding and you're like, where did they come from? Like, they just all of a sudden had all of this success. There must be something wrong with me. When in reality, you're not exposed to what experience they had prior to joining this business. There is going to be some people that have a lot more experience in real estate, and they're using that to their advantage. There are going to be some people that have a lot more experience as entrepreneurs, and they're bringing that to their advantage. There are going to be some other people who have built organizations, who have built systems and strategies for other companies, for themselves, and now they're bringing it to this business. So you don't know what their resume looks like. You don't know what they're bringing and what experience they're bringing, and you're comparing your chapter 1 to potentially their chapter 10, and you don't want to do that in this business. Focus on where you're at. Focus on the progress that you're making. Focus on your journey. Focus on what you're learning so that you're not comparing what you're doing versus somebody else. Because again, there's always going to be somebody ahead of you. That's just the way it is. If not in this business, in life and in everything. All right. So let's not compare where you're at versus where somebody else is. Next thing, I need you to give this business the time and the respect that it deserves. Okay, you cannot come into this business and expect to make 6 figures right, within your first 6 months. It's probably not going to happen. That's just the reality. And if you got the impression that this is going to be a get rich quick scheme, then this is not the business for you. That is not the impression that I like to give. I don't like to build this business on that type of hype or flash in the pan stuff. That's just not what I do. So I don't want to give that impression. And if you don't give this business the time and the attention and the respect that it deserves, it's going to treat you the exact same way. If you treat it like a side chick or a side chuck, if you treat it like that, then the business is going to treat you the exact same way. More importantly, there are professionals who go into careers where they have education and they've educated themselves for 4 years, 6 years, 10 years, postgraduate, MBAs, PhDs, you name it. They've done all this education to command significant six-figure incomes, to command the respect of their peers and their colleagues, to command tenure. They've earned that through the education that they've gotten to get to where they're at. So what makes our business any different? That's the part that I don't think a lot of people get, is that what makes our business above any other profession or higher degree of education? It doesn't. So why is it that someone thinks that they can get involved in our business and in 3 months be making, 7 figures? It's not going to happen. All right. And especially if you don't respect it. So respect the business, respect what we're doing, respect the time that it's going to take to be successful in this business, and acknowledge the fact that you're going to have to go through a certain degree of education, just like all the other professions do, right? There's nothing that you're not going to be able to bypass that. You're not going to be able to shortcut it. There's going to be a learning curve here, and you're going to have to go through that learning curve. What we're trying to do is we're trying to compress that learning curve a little bit, right? So that you can succeed a little bit faster. But that doesn't mean that you're going to be able to shortchange it. All right. So give it the time, respect, and attention it deserves. Now, why do we do this? All right. I think this is important. And I want to address this because a lot of times people think that, oh, you just come in here, you make someone a lowball offer, you go find a rich investor, you put the two together, and then you walk away with $20,000 in your pocket. It's a lot more than that. Okay, this is a lot deeper than what some of us are seeing on social media, and what some of us are seeing on these TikToks. And some of them, are some of those social media influencers. They do well. They do well, but that's not really what this business is about. So let's talk about why we do this. Number one, sellers need us. Okay, I know that might be something weird to hear, but sellers actually need us. There is a place for us. There is a place for you. There is a place for me in this marketplace. And let me explain it. Number one, not all homes qualify for traditional financing. All right. Not all homes are going to qualify for traditional financing. Now, what is traditional financing? That is where a buyer is going to go and purchase a home, and they're going to have to get a loan. In order to qualify for a loan, number one, they have to go through all the credit regulations, right? And income documentation. But number two, the property itself has to also qualify to be financeable, which means there's certain minimum standards that the house has to have. And in some cases, if they're a brand new home buyer, right? A brand new, this is the first time they're buying a home and they're getting an FHA loan, right? Which is loans for first-time home buyers. That house is going to have certain minimum standards, which means there can be no peeling paint. In some cases, there has to be appliances, depending on the jurisdiction. Heating and air has to function, right? There can't be any broken windows. The roof has to be functioning. There can't be stains in the ceiling. There's a whole bunch of things that the house has to qualify for. And if an appraiser sees these items, that house may not qualify for financing. So why do sellers need us? Because we bring them investors, right? People who are going to purchase the house that don't need traditional financing and aren't worried about traditional financing. But Paul, couldn't the seller just fix the property up? Some sellers can't afford, and some sellers don't want to deal with the hassle of making those repairs, right? We've all heard horror stories of sellers or of homeowners who have hired contractors to make repairs to property, and they didn't end up coming out the way that they wanted to come out with. Or in some cases, you've had contractors that have gotten money or handymen that have gotten money, and then they just took the money. And some people just don't want to do that. Additionally, even if they make the repairs, in some cases, the stuff that they're going to repair isn't necessarily going to be a direct one-to-one ratio where they get that money back, right? So they may make those repairs and then they may not even get that money back, depending on the situation. So some sellers can afford it, and some sellers just don't want to deal with the hassle of having to make those repairs. And some of those repairs are so extreme that it wouldn't even make sense for them to make those kind of repairs, because even if they made some of those small repairs, the house still wouldn't be financeable. They'd have to do a complete rehab, and some of them can't. The other thing is we offer creative solutions, right? When we're looking at this from our vantage point, from our perspective, we're analyzing all possible solutions for a seller. And so we're looking at all the creative solutions. There are some of you that have gotten involved in this business, and so the first thing that you're thinking is, oh, we just make all cash offers. We give it 50, 60, 70 cents on the dollar, and then we go find a rich investor and we put them onto contract, we put them together, and we make all that money. That is just one way to make money as a real estate investor that happens to use wholesaling as their strategy. That's just one way. There's all cash buyers. There's subject to buyers, buyers that purchase properties and take over mortgages. If a property was purchased between 2018 to 2022, typically they're going to have interest rates that are no longer available right now. And investors really want to buy those properties, taking over those existing mortgages. So there are buyers that will purchase subject to the existing mortgages. There's seller financing, right? There's ways where you can have a seller finance the deal, act like they're the bank, and actually sell the property to an investor using seller financing. Then there's hybrid. Look, I can go down a list of all the different ways that you can create creative solutions for the seller. But the point is, we can offer that. We went over that slide already. Some sellers don't want people coming into their homes. They just don't want it. They don't want people walking in. They don't want people seeing the condition that the house might be in. There are some people who might be, unfortunately, they might be hoarders. There's a lot of different reasons why someone may not want the traditional route to sell the house. They just don't want people coming in. They value their privacy. They could be embarrassed. Who knows? But they don't want it. Next thing is they don't want to use an agent. All right. So why would a seller not want to use an agent? Well, maybe they've had a bad experience with real estate agents. That's possible. Or here's another thing. What if you have a seller that has a family member or multiple family members that have real estate licenses, and it would hurt their feelings if they chose one over the other, or a friend over a family member, or a family member over a friend, whatever. They just don't want to do that. And so they'd rather not use an agent. They'd rather just sell themselves and not have to bring any attention and create any drama or problems in the relationships that they have with their existing friends and family. That's another possibility. Things like this happen, believe it or not. There are reasons that some people may not want to use a real estate agent. Oh, lastly, sellers, some of them need a guaranteed fast close, right? So if someone is, for instance, facing a challenge and they are close to getting their property foreclosed on, or they're losing their property and the property is scheduled for auction in 2 weeks, yes. Can a real estate agent put a property on the MLS and sell the property? Yes, of course. Is it possible that they can get it done in 2 weeks? It's possible. But what if it doesn't get sold in those 2 weeks and the property does get foreclosed on? Well, the seller loses everything, right? In this case, when we bring them an all-cash offer from an investor that can close in 7 to 10 days, it's a guaranteed sale, right? It's a guaranteed close. It will close in that time frame. Whereas putting it on the market, working with an agent, prepping it for market, doing all the stuff that you have to do isn't necessarily guaranteed. So going back to what I said, there is a place for us in this ecosystem where we are needed. You are needed, okay, by the seller. Next slide. Investors need us. That's another reason that we do this, right? Why would an investor need us? Well, number one, investors are good at what they do. So there are a lot of investors that are good at buying properties, fixing them, and flipping them. There are a lot of investors that are good at buying properties, rehabbing them, and renting them. There are a lot of investors that are very good at buying properties, fixing them, staging them, furnishing them, and turning them into Airbnbs. co-living houses, pad splits, right? Homes for transitional nurses or for other professionals. There's a bunch of different things that investors can do with a house. So investors are good at that. They may not necessarily be good at what it is that we do, and our skill set is to be able to offer solutions for sellers in a way that it's a win-win situation for both the seller and the investor. And they're not necessarily good at prospecting. Right. So one of the things that we do in our business is we are prospecting. We are talking to sellers all day long. And if we're not talking to sellers, then we're talking to real estate agents. So we're talking to real estate agents and we're talking to sellers all day long. These real estate investors may not have the time to be able to do that, as they're too focused on all of the other projects that they have going on. So that is one of the reasons that investors like working with us. They want to invest their time into their craft, into what they believe is going to bring them the highest possible return on their time. And in their world, the highest possible return on their time is the flipping properties, rehabbing properties, renting out properties, Airbnb properties, Section 8 property, whatever it might be. That's where they want to spend their time, because that in their mind brings them the highest return on their time and money. So they don't want to be prospecting. They don't want to be cold calling. They don't want to be running Facebook. They don't want to necessarily do these things. Now, are there some investors that do source their own deals? Yes, absolutely. In fact, some of the best real estate investors also happen to be some of the best wholesalers. Why? Because if you're good at sourcing your own deals, if you're good at finding your own leads, if you're good at finding sellers that you can bring value to and offer creative solutions to, if you're good at doing these things, then you can then identify your own opportunities, and you can decide whether or not you want to keep those for yourself or you want to put a fee on top and then wholesale to somebody else. So some of the best investors that I've met and worked with are actually some of the best wholesalers too, because they're sourcing their own deals if they want to do that. But there are plenty that don't. There are plenty that just say, look, let me stay in my lane, you stay in your lane, and if you can bring me these opportunities, fantastic. A good example of this are hedge funds. Hedge funds don't want to go out there and start marketing themselves for leads, but they don't have a problem with you bringing them the leads, right? Builders are the same way. They don't have a problem paying you a fee if you bring them a 10-acre lot where they can build, 50, 60, 70, 80 homes on, right? So keep that in mind. They want to focus on what they want to focus on. Fix and flips are a long-term strategy, and many of them don't want to be distracted. I think I already kind of talked about that, and we're talking about sellers as well. Okay, so we've got sellers that need us. Now we've got investors that need us, and then we've got neighbors that need us. Now, why would I say something like neighbors need us? Well, number one, safety. If you've got a property right next door that is, half burnt, and you've got people breaking into it, and you've got squatters going into the property, do you think that is safe for you? Does that make you feel comfortable with what you're, living in your home? No, of course not. And so when you find an opportunity, you bring it to an investor. The investor goes in there, fixes that home, rehabs that home, rents the home, sells the home, whatever it is that they do. Does that make the neighborhood feel a little bit more safe when it's rehabbed? Absolutely. So neighbors love us for that. We increase property values. Yes, I know we're not going to get into a conversation about gentrification and us pushing prices too high and, how it's affecting them. We're not going to get into that conversation. I'm not going to get into that type of politics or policy. All I'm saying is that if the property values go up by us improving the neighborhoods, do you think that's going to make other people happy, especially the neighbors? 100% it will, right? Because now they have more value. Now they have more equity in their homes as those values increase. And lastly, nobody wants to live next to or near a dilapidated house. So I just went over with you why we do what we do and who needs our assistance. So you've got sellers that need our assistance. You've got investors that need our assistance. You've got neighbors that need our assistance, okay? And I don't really go into a lot of these conversations during my trainings when I talk to people, but there really, really is a place for what you have to offer in this market, right? And that is one of the reasons that I went over it. Because when you approach this business from that mindset, now it's different. Right now, your chest up a little bit more, your back straight a little bit more, because now you feel a little bit more confident about what it is that you're doing, as opposed to you thinking, I'm just going over there and I'm making them this lowball offer and I'm trying to get it at the best price that I'm taking it at, and then I'm going to go sell it to investor for the highest price possible, and then I'm going to make my assignment fee. See, what that sounds like is it sounds almost predatory, right? But when you look at it from the perspective that I just shared, what we do from, all of a sudden now you're operating differently now. You're really seeing that, hey, wait a minute, I can make a difference here. I can help someone while at the same time sourcing opportunities for investors who need me because they're busy focusing on what they're doing. And at the same time, I'm helping neighbors because I'm increasing the property values and making those neighborhoods more safe. All right. Now, some of you may have heard my story and some of you may not have heard my story. I share it in the book. Okay. But I grew up in the northeast part of Los Angeles, a part of town called Highland Park, and this was during the 80s. And in the 80s and 90s, like, you did not want to go out after dark on a particular street. My father had a meat market. In Spanish, it's a carniceria, and he opened it in the late 90s. At the age of 19, my father was murdered in his own meat market due to gang activity. Okay, so I talk about this all the time. This isn't just theory for me. All right, had that neighborhood gone through a renaissance phase where people had come in and improved it, I'd like to believe, I'd like to think there's a chance that maybe, just maybe, that gang activity would have been reduced and my father would still be with me to this day. Now, in a practical sense, right now, if you look at the Highland Park area of Los Angeles, right, it was the 90042 zip code. Now it's gone through that renaissance. Now there's all these amazing houses in the area, and it's become one of the hottest, I'd say, towns, not cities, because it's not a city, but areas of the Los Angeles marketplace, right? And who did that? It was all the investors coming in and all the wholesalers coming in and identifying opportunities for people, okay? So, along with the interest rates, along with all that, but we're not going to get into that. All right, we're making a difference in community, so we already talked about that. Now, we do two things. Number one, we provide solutions to homeowners, and number two, we identify opportunities for investors. That's it. We provide solutions to homeowners and we provide opportunities to investors. Nothing else. That's what we do. Yes, I know there's all these other little subcategories about how we source the leads and contracts, and we're going to go into that. But when you break this down to its most simplest form, all we're doing is providing solutions for sellers and identifying opportunities for investors and trying to put the two together. Okay. Our expectations of you now. If you are just getting started in this business, okay, and you're looking at this and this is something that you're going to commit to, you got to commit to at least 12 hours per week minimum for the next 12 weeks. Now, what does that come out to? That's 90 days, and it's working about 2 hours a day, 6 days a week, however you want to break it up. If you want to do 3 hours in one day and 4 hours in another day, look, I'm just giving you some type of a goal so that you have some type of an expectation, okay? Because if we just tell you, work when you want to work, it's never going to work. You're going to have a difficult time. So if you can commit to at least 12 hours a week over the next 12 weeks, you should have some success in this business, okay? What is your expectations? Number one, participate in the live and the recorded trainings, which you're doing right now. So fantastic. Thank you for being here. The second thing that you want to do is you want to participate in the community. So if you're a part of our school community, participate in that. Have conversations there. Have questions there. Yes. Can you message me direct and can you ask me to? If it's not related to a specific deal, I would prefer that most questions be posed on the school community. That's what I would prefer, okay? And the reason that I'm suggesting that, and I think that our Dollar Club community, it prevents you from being able to do that until you reach a certain level. I'm going to change that temporarily and see how it goes. I don't want there to be too much spam. I'm just afraid that people are going to come in and spam our community, which is possible. But what we're going to do is we'll have somebody monitoring it so that doesn't happen. So pose your questions on the community, right? It helps everybody else because if you're thinking about it, somebody else is thinking about it. And then when we answer those questions, everybody benefits from it, okay? So the expectations, participate in these trainings and participate in the community. The other thing is you have to be the one that sources the leads, all right? I don't want anybody thinking that if you're a part of our group or a part of our organization or a part of our team or a part of whatever, that you're going to get the leads. We're not giving you the leads. You are going to have to get your leads, okay? That's very important. The next thing is what are our expectations, or what can you expect from us? Well, we'll call the screened leads together. And what do I mean by screened leads? If you're going to be saying, hey, Paul or whomever you're working with, listen, I have a lead. Can we call the lead together? I don't have a problem doing that. The only thing that we require is that you screen the lead. In other words, don't just say, hey, I saw this property in Zillow. Can you call the agent? That's not how this works. I need you to screen that person. I need you to screen that agent. I need you to screen that seller to make sure that we're not just spinning our wheels and just calling people just for fun. All right. So you screen the lead. Now, what you're looking for is motivation. So we have a Zillow script that we use when we're talking to agents. And really what you're looking for is an agent that sounds motivated, an agent that sounds like they want to make a deal. So if an agent is saying something like, well, this seller doesn't have to sell. This seller could just rent it out. This seller doesn't need the money. This seller has a bunch of money. This seller doesn't care if it sells. This seller could just rent it out. This seller could fix it and flip it themselves. If you're hearing those things from an agent, that's not a motivated agent, and that's not a motivated seller, and you will hear the defeat in their voice. Trust me, you will hear it, okay? Now, what you want to hear from an agent is, the seller needs to sell. This house is too big for the seller. The seller doesn't even go up to the second floor anymore because of his or her age. The seller can't maintain the property anymore. This house has too many repairs for the seller. They can't even fix the property up anymore. Unfortunately, the seller passed. This house is now owned by the heirs, by the kids, and the kids want to sell the property. The kids live in another state. They don't care about the property. They don't want the property. The seller wants to sell. The seller got a job transfer. They want to move and relocate and retire in another state. Those are the things you want to hear from the agent. Okay, you'll hear that in their voice. You'll hear them sounding like they're motivated, like they want to play ball. Now, if you're talking to sellers, you'll hear the motivation in their voice too. If you hear a seller that says, "No, I'm not interested. I don't want to sell," and then you continue the script, because we have scripts for that too. And you say, well, if you got the right price, would you look at would you look at an offer? And they said maybe, and then you continue the conversation and you ask them why they would sell, and they say something like, well, I'm only answering that because you asked me if I got the right price for it. So the only reason I would sell is if I got the right price. Well, that's not motivation. Okay, that's not motivation. A motivated seller is a seller that says something like, I need to sell. I got a job transfer. It's going to foreclosure in 2 weeks. We need to sell. This is too much work for me now. I just can't do it anymore. These tenants are driving me crazy. I don't want to deal with tenants anymore. I don't want to go fix toilets at 2 a.m. I don't want to answer their calls. I don't want to deal with the problems. This property is just, I haven't seen it in 2 years. I don't even know what it looks like. When you start hearing those things, you'll know when you're dealing with a motivated seller, okay? So, and we'll go into scripts and all that stuff a little bit later on, but you need to screen those leads. You screen them. We call them with you. All right. Let's make sure that we understand each other's roles. Our job is not to screen leads for you. Your job is to screen the leads, and then we get on the phone with them and we help you, have a conversation with those people. We'll also help negotiate the price. All right. We'll do that together. Once we know that it's just pre-screened leads, we're not going to negotiate prices on something that hasn't been pre-screened. So I'm not going to have conversations with people where someone says, hey, I saw this on Facebook Marketplace. Can you tell me if this sounds like a good deal to you? Not going to do it. Not going to do it. Have you spoken to that person first? Have you sent out a DM to that person first? Have you had a conversation with that person first? And if the answer is no, then I'm not going to all of a sudden stop what I'm doing just to comp a deal. It's not going to happen. Next thing, we'll help fill out contracts, and then we'll help you sell the deal. Okay. So as long as everybody understands their roles, this will work like a fine-tuned machine. When it doesn't work is when people don't understand the expectations that we should have for one another. That's where we start to run into problems. Okay, so I want to make sure that we're clear about those expectations. Next one. All right, recommended tools. You're going to need some type of a phone system. All right, I don't recommend just using your cell phone and using your direct line for a couple of reasons. Number one, if you start making outbound calls, which you will, if you start doing outbound texts, which you will, if you start doing any of that stuff related to your specific phone number, there's always a possibility that you could get people, maybe they just had a rough day and they label your phone number as spam. You get enough people to do that, and what will happen is your phone number will be permanently marked as spam. And then every time you call people that you know or like, even though well, unless they're registered as a contact. But the point is, you can get your phone number burned. All right. That's the first reason. The second reason I don't recommend you using your phone line is because it's a little cumbersome and a little time consuming to be sending out text this way. But Paul, there's Google Message now, and there's iMessage, and then there's all these different tools that you can use to be texting from your desktop. Well, that's true, I get it, but it's not necessarily as seamless as you would like it to be. Trust me, I've tried to sync all of this stuff. So, or some people will say, well, Paul, I want to use WhatsApp from my phone. So, yeah, look, I'm going to tell you right now, there's all these different ways that you could try to work around this, but the best thing to do is just get a phone system. There's a cheap one that we use called Open Phone. It's $15. I'll give you guys the link later on. I thought I put it on here, but I guess I didn't. So it's in your journal, and we'll talk about the journal in a little bit. But Open Phone costs about $15 a month. They give you a dedicated number, and you can call, text. It records the calls. It has AI, so it actually gives you an AI synopsis of the call after you're done having calls with people. That way, it's easy, and when you need to go back and do a search, you can do a search. You can text from it. Good phone system. Sorry, just letting people in. So my suggestion is use a phone system. I'll send everybody the link for Open Phone. And as a matter of fact, I think I can put it in the chat. Hold on. Okay, where is it? 1 second. Where's the tools? Sorry. I thought I put this link in there, but I guess I didn't. 1 second while I do this. So here is, if you check the chat, I just put the link for Open Phone, and that's $15 a month. Okay. Now, next thing you're going to want to do is you want to create your own Google Drive folder. And if you go to this link, HTTPS, or just bit.ly dispo drive. Okay, you click that. Now, what will show up is you will see this drive. Let me show everybody. This is what it's going to look like. And then what you're going to do is you're going to go, this is the folder. You're going to come in here, and all I want you to do is copy all of these. Right click and then make a copy. Okay, and create your own copy. This is your folder. Now, this is a public folder, and I'm giving it to you guys, giving it to you so that you could have access to it. All right. This isn't supposed to be go out and share with everybody, but if you want to share it with people, you're more than welcome to share it with people. Look, at the end of the day, I'm an open book about how we work and the strategies that we use. So this is all about execution. All right. Some of you who are in the profit sharing group, you've actually paid for this material. Okay, so you've paid to have access to this. So my recommendation is you don't just share this link with everybody else. All right, so you come in here, you come into the folder, and then you just make a copy of all of this. You highlight it, right click it, boom, make a copy, and now you have access to all of that information. Put it in a folder so that you have access to it, because we are going to be working out of your journal and out of your offer tracker. Okay, those are the two things. Everything else is just stuff that you're going to need. And there's a creative deal calculator in there, and there's a net proceeds analyzer. So I'm not going to go into all the details of how we use all this stuff, but you will need access to this offer tracker, because in this offer tracker is our deal calculator, which is how we analyze what offers we should be making. In there is also the creative deals calculator. So we have every deal, creative deal calculator on how to do subject to, seller finance, hybrids, which is part subject to, part seller finance. You name it, it's all here. Sub 2 with multiple loans, sub 2 straight with no agent, sub 2 multiple loans, no agent. Every creative situation that you can think of is in this calculator as well. Okay, so make a folder for yourself and then make copies of all of this stuff that you can have access to. And again, you paid for it. Okay, that's why you're part of the profit sharing group. So if people start asking you for copies of this, just take that into consideration. All right, that you paid for it, they probably should have paid for it too. All right, so I'm giving you access to it. Bit.ly dispo drive. Next thing. When you're getting started in this business, most people have money or they have time. They typically don't have both. Okay, so you are going to be in a situation where you either have money or you have time. You're probably not going to have both. Most people don't, and that's okay. But we're going to talk about how to deal with each situation. So if you have more time than you have money, here's what you're going to need to be doing. You're going to have to invest your time in activities that don't require a lot of money, because you have more time than you have money. So let's talk about what activities those are going to be. Number one, you're going to be going direct to agent. That is the freest of the free ways to make money as a real estate investor who uses wholesaling as an exit strategy. So direct to agent. Now you're going to need access to the Zillow Zapper. The Zillow Zapper is in the journal. So going back to your journal, let's look at it one more time. Oh, excuse me, if you come in here and you copy this folder and you click on your journal, you double click it and you scroll down, here's the link for OpenPhone, and then you also have the link for the Zillow Zapper. Okay, I know who's a part of our profit sharing. So what will happen is you'll have to ask for access to this, and once you ask for access to it, then we'll give it to you guys. Okay, so then you come here, this is the search, but it's in this it's in your journal. Okay, so direct to agent, that means that you are working with real estate agents to use on-market deals to be able to wholesale and to be able to assign them. That's the fastest way to make money in this business, because those people already have their properties up for sale. They're already on the market. Okay, now I know that there's going to be some real estate coaches, there's going to be some real estate gurus, there's going to be some real estate influencers, there's going to be some real estate TikTokers. They're going to say that, you know, I only work direct to seller. I only work with sellers. I don't do anything on the MLS. I'll never touch any MLS properties. Oh, yeah. That's great. Okay, I respect that. But here's the thing. When you work direct to agent, you are basically working with sellers who have already put their properties on the market. They want to sell. Okay. Now, when you are working another strategy called direct to seller, so when you're marketing yourself to other sellers or you're cold calling to sellers, you don't know how long it's going to take from the moment that a seed is planted to when they take action. Whereas with direct to agent, they're already up for sale right now. Okay. So all I'm saying is, going back to what we said earlier. Okay. What we said earlier was you either have time or you have money. Okay, one or the other. So if you have time but you don't have money, then you're going to need to do something free. And the freest of the free ways to do this is direct to agent using the Zillow Zapper. Second thing that you can do is you can hop onto Facebook Marketplace, or you can hop onto Craigslist and you can start prospecting there. Let's go back to your Google Drive folder. If you go back to your Google Drive folder and you look inside, guess what? I've given you a copy of Facebook Marketplace templates. And these are templates that you can use to be able to talk to owners or to be able to talk to agents, because you will find agents. Okay, they're all there. And all you have to do is copy and paste these templates to when you're talking to people. That's it. This works, guys. It works. We do it all the time. You don't even have to think about it. You just copy and paste. Okay, trust me, try it this way first before you go and reinvent the wheel. Next thing is cold calling, right? That's another free thing you can do. You're going to need a list. You will need a list, but there's ways to get a list. So in your local market, you can find a local title representative. So say, for instance, you're in Indianapolis, right? Indiana, right? And so you go and you Google title representative in Indianapolis or in one of your local towns, right? You find one, you call them, you say, hey, Mr. or Mrs. Title Rep. My name is Paul. Look, I'm a local investor in the area, and I'm going to be prospecting to find my own deals. I'd like for you to be my preferred title agent of choice. Can you please help me out? I need a farm package. They'll know what that means. A farm package, which is a list of at least 5,000 people in this area. You give them the zip codes or the towns with phone numbers so that I can call them and prospect them myself. Can you do that for me? And typically they'll get them to. Why would a title representative do that? Because if you do get this under contract, if you do open a title order, if you do sell this to an investor, they will be the title agent who insures the transaction for title insurance, and they will also earn a commission. Okay, they will also earn a sale. The more deals that you do, the more times you designate that title representative as the title rep of choice, the more commission that they're going to make as well. They have an incentive to help you. Now, why does a title representative insure a transaction? To ensure that during their transaction, there are no liens, so that a buyer doesn't buy the property only to find out that there's like a $10,000 Medi-Cal lien on the property after they own it. The title representative makes sure that the title is clean, so that when the buyer buys it, there's no loans, liens, judgments, or defaults on or violations on that property. That's what a title insurance agent does. That's what a title rep does. So that's a free way to get a list so that you can cold call. Find a local title rep in your area, introduce yourself, become a friend with them, and tell them I need a farm package of a minimum of 5,000 names and numbers in this area. Now, if you really want to be gangster, you'll also give them certain parameters that you want. Did I just say gangster? I did. If you really want to be gangster, you'll tell them that I want properties that were purchased between 2018 to 2022, or I want properties with very, very high equity, or I want properties owners who are absentee. They don't even live in the state. They just live somewhere else. I want those. And then they'll give you that list. Okay. But you have to ask them for the list with numbers. Now, if they don't give you, or if they say, I can't give you a list with numbers, which is possible, there is always the possibility that they may say that. If they say, I can't give you a list with numbers, then you are going to have to invest a little bit of money in skip tracing those numbers. Okay. And there's a few different skip tracing platforms. I'm not going to go into that right now, though. Okay, cold calling, driving for dollars. Driving for dollars is another free way for you to find seller leads. Okay, I'm not suggesting that you drive all around town for hours aimlessly looking for properties. Driving for dollars is just basically where you go throughout your regular day. So on your way to work, on your way to take the kids to school, on your way to the gym, on your way home, on your way to wherever you got to go during your lunch break. If you got to go run an errand, you got to go mail something, you got to run to pick up your dry cleaning. Here's what I'm suggesting. Take a different route, not one that is going to be, time prohibitive, where it's like it's going to make you late everywhere, but just take a different route to wherever it is that you need to go, and keep your eyes open for properties that have a minimum of 3 high ticket defects, a minimum of 3. So just because the lawn is overgrown and there's weeds everywhere doesn't necessarily mean that that seller is in distress. But when you've got a minimum of 3 items, when you've got weeds that are up to here, and you've got broken windows with cardboard on them, and you can tell from the roof that it is shot to hell, that is someone who's potentially in distress. What I normally do is I'll drive, take a picture of the curb, take a picture of the street sign, and here's what you can do. With Google Maps, you can drop a pin for where you took where you saw that property, and then mark it, and then you can even label it. And if you get really good, you can even make individual maps on Google Maps. Sorry, Apple users, I'm not a big Apple guy. I am an Android guy. You can use Google Maps, create your own personalized map, drop a pin for all your properties, and you call it my driving for dollars property. You name that list, and then you drop those pins in that list, and then later on you can go back and you can access them. All right. Driving for dollars is not something that you should be doing for hours. It's just something that you do supplementary to all of the other stuff that you're doing. Okay. So next one. I've gone over the free stuff, the free way. So if you have more time than money, now you know what you should be doing. And I don't want to hear people complaining about like, well, cold calling is grueling and I hate it. And, I'm on Facebook Marketplace and I'm sending out messages and no one's responding. And I've called a title rep and nobody cares. They don't want to help me. I don't want to hear that. Okay. Because if you've got more time than money, then you're just going to have to utilize more of your time, put more effort into it. Now, if you have more money than time, what this typically tells me is these are the people that have 9 to 5s. These are the people that have a little bit more money that they're willing to invest in their business, okay, in the form of marketing. So if you have more money, then you will have to invest your money in marketing and lead generation. So one of the first things that you can do is you can go to Facebook and Google. And here's what you can, let me show you. I'm going to show you in real time. A lot of people don't know this, but check this out. If you Google the phrase, and I'm losing my voice, ad transparency, and I'm going to zoom in. Everybody can see my screen, I hope. Yeah. Ad transparency, Meta. Just Google this. Watch what happens. If you do this, this pops up. You'll see this screen. And here's what you can do. You go to United States, you go to ad category, it's housing, and then you can type cash buyer. All right, now look at this. These are all the advertisers that have the words cash buyer in it, and it tells you what their ads are. So let's see. Let's just say sellers. Let's see sellers. Bestseller, no. How about buy my house? Home buyer, house jet 52. I want to find one. Well, look at We Buy Ugly Houses. Look at this one. Okay, so here's why we buy ugly houses, and it shows you, oh, they don't have any ads right now. Interesting. You can show their past ads. Nothing. I love it when I screw up live. Okay, so ad category, housing, cash buyer. Okay, search this exact phrase. Now, here's what happens. You're going to see all the advertisers right now that are currently advertising for cash buyers to get leads. Now, what you can do is, this one was launched in July 28th. I think you can set filters for specific locations, and you can say, okay, so which ones have been running since from, oh, it won't show me the past. Oh, August 2018. Cool. So I want to see the ones that have been running since January. Let's see if anybody has some. Advertisers typically apply to filters. Advertisers typically refresh their ads every few months, but if they've been running a specific ad for a longer period of time, those are obviously the good ads. So why am I sharing this with you? Okay, so let's look at this one. Look at this ad. You can click on see summary details, and you'll see his ad. You'll see, you can make a video if you want. You don't necessarily have to, but here's what I want you to see. All the text is here. Okay. So there's no need for you to hire an ad agency. There's no need for you to pay someone a retainer of like $1,500 a month or $2,000 a month. Trust me, I've done this. I already know. And you hire them to do your ads. You've got ad copy here from other people that are already doing it. And most people tend to be using videos, it looks like. I'm seeing all the, look at this. I'm a cash buyer. So this person has been running this ad since July 22nd. See ad details. I'm not sure how well this ad is doing, but look at this. He's running ads, and you've got 3 different variations of the same ad. What else? Let's see another one. A lot of people running videos. A lot of people. Look at this one. Okay, get a real cash offer without the hassle. This one has been running since July 8th. Okay, so this one's been running for 20 days now, and you can see the ad details, and you can see all the ads that they're running. All right, and so sold in 7 days. That wasn't what I really wanted to see. I wanted to see another one, but that's all right. What's my point? Is there a heavy cost associated with running ads? Good question, Will. So no, there isn't a heavy cost because you can set a budget. So if someone sets a budget of running an ad for about $5 a day, that's 150 bucks, 150 bucks a month. You can set it to $10 a day. That's $300 a month. But before, I used to have to, and we all used to have to hire companies. Look at this one. All right, so look at this. This is cool. We're going to see this summary details. So this one has been running this ad since July 22nd. Here's the text, okay? And then what you can do is you can even like borrow, right? Save image, and you can borrow other people's ad copy. I'm not sure if you saw that. I've already done that. But then you don't even have to think about it. You can just copy this text. And you can even use ChatGPT to spin it so that you're not copying it exactly. Or if you're being real lazy, you can just copy the text exactly the way it is and use it for your own ad. But Paul, isn't that unethical? Isn't that illegal? Isn't that wrong? How could you do that? Facebook is, as part of their page transparency, is giving you the data and giving you the details. They're telling you if it's working, just use it. Why? Because they want you to spend more money. At some point, this advertiser's ad spend for the day, at some point it is going to end. That's like saying Procter & Gamble cannot be advertising against Unilever, right? And some of their commercials look very, very similar anyway. So all I'm saying is now you've got something that's going to save your time, and you can just copy this, and then you can just create the own ad. Now, when you make an ad on Facebook, and I'm not going to do a whole Facebook ad training because we're cutting it close on time. When you make an ad, you don't necessarily need to send them to a website. That's another thing. People think, well, now I got to go buy a website and I have to click in. Nope. Facebook has what are called Facebook ad forms. So when you run the ad, boop, and you've probably filled it out. What comes up is a form, and you just fill out the form. That looked a little weird, but a little strange. But you get my point. My point is the pop-up comes up, you fill out the form, name, address, email, phone number, boom, you've got your ad. All right, so let's go back to the slide because I'm really cutting it close. Next thing you could do is if you've got some money, you could hire a VA and you can hire a cold caller. There are agencies that will do this for you too. I am going to tell you that my recommendation is just to recruit your own cold caller yourself personally. That's just my recommendation, and train your own cold caller yourself. But again, that's another training. I'm not going to go into it. And then the last thing is use SMS marketing. I happen to like Creative REI Reply. They do SMS marketing where you upload the list and they text it out for you, and they have an AI bot that actually auto replies on your behalf to the people that are working on it. So if you have some money, but you're less on time, you're going to invest some of that money into marketing strategies like this: Google and Facebook ads. Oh, and by the way, the ad transparency thing, same thing. It works for Google ads as well. Okay, same thing. Hire a VA. You can do that, and get an SMS marketing company like Creative REI Reply. More details on that, you'd let me know. Okay, so pick one strategy and master it. So whatever you do, if you've got time over money or money over time, here's my suggestion. Just pick one strategy, just one. Don't go into like 2 or 3 different strategies. Don't be cold calling, or then I'm going to do this. Well, actually, I think with cold calling is something that you can add to anything else. Cold calling is the one thing that I think you can add on top of any other effort. So you can do cold calling and still be doing driving for dollars. You can still do cold calling and running Facebook ads. You can still do cold call, because this is something that you can be doing during those 2 to 3 hours a day that you should be working daily. Okay, but the point is, pick one strategy, pick one system, become a slave to that system, to that strategy. Learn it, master it until you've gotten it down. Then we start to add more. Next thing is, in your Google Drive folder is a journal. Document everything that you're doing on a daily basis in your journal. Document. Even if you did nothing. So on one day, if you go in there, and let me show you what that journal looks like real fast. You come into here, you go into your journal. Where is it? Journal. Every time you come in here, you need to be putting what it is that you're doing. Okay, so the newest entry should be here. So today would be the 28th, and you enter it. Now, quick tip: you can type out the date if you want. 07/28, or you just go insert smart chip, not signature, insert smart chip, and you insert the date. Boom, you've got the date right there. Okay, even if you don't do anything, put I did nothing today. The reason I'm asking you to do this is because if you have the discipline to log what it is that you're doing on a daily basis, 4 weeks from now, when someone comes back to me, they're like, well, I'm not seeing any results. I haven't gotten anybody to talk to me. I don't have any deals under contract. We haven't sold any properties. This business doesn't work. And I go back and I reference a journal and I look at it with it, and I'm like, look, like, number one, you haven't done anything. So whose fault is it? Is it the business or is it yours? Or the flip side is, I see all the stuff that they've been doing, and then I'm like, okay, so you've done this, you've done this, you've done this, you've done this. Let's analyze it and let's figure out where we might be falling short so that we can tweak and modify what it is that person might be doing. But you can't do that without documenting what your efforts are in the journal. That's the reason that I'm telling you to do that. Okay, so document on a daily basis. Pick one market. Don't be picking like 4 or 5 different markets. Typically, the best market is going to be in your backyard. If your backyard has a population of at least 50,000 or 100,000, I prefer 100,000 or more, but 50,000 or more, you should be okay, right? If your market doesn't have a population of a minimum of 50,000 or more, but let's say you're near like a big city, right? Let's say your market is like, okay, so there's like 20,000 people in your market, but you're 20 minutes from like a major city, right? And if you go up the highway, go ahead and pick that major city, pick the market. Okay, so try to do it in your backyard, but pick one market and then master that one market before we start jumping to other markets. I don't want to hear us doing deals in multiple cities right now until you've mastered your own market. There's going to be there's an advantage to that. So pick a market, stick to it, try to be in your own backyard, or pick the biggest metro city right next to your backyard. And that's it. So we did it. We did it at 9:59. We were able to cut this to under 100. I'm going to open it up to questions if anybody has questions for the next few minutes before I let everybody go. Questions, concerns. This is your chance, guys and gals. Come on. I don't think.
Paul, it's Nithya. Sorry, I was
Hi,
trying to
Nithya. No problem.
unmute. Okay, so one of the questions is when we're getting started on the Zillow Zapper
Hmm.
thing you gave us, there's a one of the criteria is the already occupied, owner occupied, and it was one more. So I found that a few properties came up under two or three of the criteria you gave.
Hmm.
Now, when talking to agents, I'm glad you said get in contact with a title person
Hmm.
because the deal in Queens that you're working with me on,
Hmm.
I think one of the requirements I think should be is to because the agent doesn't know much. um, if you can you just give a little bit of insight on when doing this business, that aspect? Because that's the first time I've ever heard a suggestion from a, a mentor to go after those. And so I'm finding like finding to be a little weird screening the agent and the property, which is why I called you for that. So yeah.
Okay. So, so what you're saying is, um, and it's not owner occupied, tenant occupied. It was a tenant occupied. I think there's a category, but more
Yeah.
importantly, so we're calling the agent, and you're saying, I'm going to call the agent, and then I'm screening them to find out if it's a possible deal, right? Okay, so here's indications if it's a deal or not. Number one, or if it's something we should pursue. Number one, they've gotten 20 offers already, and they've all been rejected. Okay, so that usually tells me when I hear that from an agent is that like the seller's just not being realistic, because if you've gotten 20 offers and they're all coming in at the around the same price, the market has spoken, right? The market is telling you what you should be getting for that property. So that's one way to screen the agent. And then what was the other part that you were
Okay.
asking me about?
This one happens to it fell under the criteria of a short sale. A
Oh,
short sale.
short sale. Okay. Okay. Oh, I know which one you're talking about. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So short sales. Just so everybody understands what a short sale is. A short sale is when a seller is selling the property for less than what they owe. But Nithya, in this particular case, we both researched it and we didn't see any existing mortgages. What the more okay. So let me backtrack before I get everybody confused. Here's a short sale. I owe $500,000 on my home, but nobody's willing to make me an offer for 500,000. Instead, I get offers for 450. 450. So, and that's the highest. And I've gotten 5 offers at 450,000. The market has spoken. If you hear me say something like that to you, what I'm saying is that that's it. That's what the buyers are going to offer for it. So, my property, I owe 500, but I've gotten offers for 450. That gap between the two, that $50,000 shortage. That is what I'm short. So I'm going to go to my lender. It could be any bank, Bank of America, Chase, whatever. And I'm going to say, Mr. or Mrs. Chase, I want to sell my property. I can't get 500,000, even though that's what I owe you, but I can get you 450. Can you approve this short sale? So what the bank is going to do is they're going to go and they're going to send an appraiser, and then they may tell me to hire my own agent, or they may refer me an agent to put it on the market to sell the property to get it sold. That's what a short sale is. Those short sales can last anywhere from like 30 days to 60 days, depending on how long the bank takes to approve the research that they're going to do, because they're going to go do their own analysis to see if I'm undercutting them or overcutting them, whatever. So that's that. But in that case, Nithya, when we did our search, we didn't see loans on the property. So I'm still not sure or convinced about what that agent is saying, unless they get us a copy of the mortgage statement. So maybe what we could ask them for is a copy of the mortgage statement.
Sorry. Okay. I did.
Oh, you got one.
And so I think the suggestion that you said, get in contact with a title rep, that may
Uh-huh.
be the way to go.
Yeah.
Queens is a little sketchy, but thank you for suggesting that. But the point of me asking this question of, well, it's a statement nobody ever told. There's so many things other mentors never told me to do when finding leads, and it's a little frustrating, just a little bit. But I find that it gets a little weird when okay, not weird, but just like I'm just glad to have your help, because in some situations where I get to the point where it's like I need that statement, the mortgage statement, it's like, all right, I'm gonna need some help here, because it just starts to go off to the left a little bit.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, I'll definitely be getting in contact with the title
Yeah,
person.
find a local title rep in
Yeah.
your area, and then tell them, hey, listen, I'm an investor. Just like I said, I'm going to be doing some deals, so I'm going to need your help. Can I give you this address, and can you run a title search for me and tell me all the liens? I need to know all the liens that are recorded against this property, and
Okay.
see what they say. And then the title rep will email you a property profile. It'll be a PDF, and it'll show you a breakdown of everything that's on there.
Okay. Excellent. Thank you.
Okay, hopefully that helps us. Maybe it will.
Okay. Good. Thank you.
Hey, Paul, I got a question. This is Daedric.
Hey, Dedrick.
What's going on? I just got a question on for properties that are listed already almost or damn near below max allowable offer price. Why is it that we want to offer to the sellers 20% of what's listed?
Okay, that's a good question. So the thing is, let's say, and I'm just going to pick any property.
Okay.
Any property. Let's just find one real quick. This is
Because it also, like in my head, it was like, if it's already listed below the offer price that I'd be trying to get the buyer to purchase it at, in my head, I'm thinking like, okay, I can just get it just a couple thousand below what they were listing it as and go ahead and offer them the price that they'd be looking to buy it at, if that makes sense.
right. No, 100%. Okay,
Yeah.
so here's the thing. Going back to what I started this session with. Our value, right, is that we to sellers we offer solutions,
Mhm.
and then to investors we identify the opportunities. So when and we're only talking about on-market properties right now. This is only properties
Right.
that are on the market. Okay.
Right.
So when a seller sees, let's say, for instance, you've done your numbers and your numbers tell you, hey, this is a good deal. I did my due diligence on the deal calculator. It tells me that I should be offering $690 for this property. At $690, this investor's still going to make money on this deal, right? Because that's
Yeah.
what the deal calculator tells you. All right. Well, couple things. Number one, there are some agents who are very good at pricing, and there are some agents who will price a deal at where it's supposed to be, or in some cases, some agents will work with the seller and they will tell them to underprice it intentionally so that they could create competition and create overbids. Okay, that's the first thing.
Okay.
So that now the second thing is that when an investor finds out, and they're going to find out, and we're going to tell them anyway, but when they find out, okay, so this property's on the market, Daedric, and you got it at 690, and now you want to sell it to me for 695. In their heads, they're thinking it's on the market for 699. I could have gone to the agent myself. I could have called now I know they didn't, but I could have called the agent myself. I could have got it for 695. So why isn't there like there's no real value there for me to necessarily go through you when I
Right.
could do that myself?
Exactly.
Now, but hey, Daedric, if you got this for 620 and now you're selling it to me for 630, and you were able to negotiate that price down, and it took you 2 weeks to like bring it down to a price where it makes sense, I'll gladly pay you your fee now because you did the dirty work for me.
Oh, okay.
You negotiated it all the way down to now where it makes sense. Now I'll pay you your fee. But when it's so close like that and the margins are so close, it's either because an agent priced it right, or they underpriced it intentionally to get attention, or there's just not enough room for us to put our fee on top and still demonstrate our value to the investor. Because then the investor is going to be like, I could have done that myself.
Exactly.
And I don't need you. So our whole thing is value. How much value can we bring to the seller? How much value can we bring to the investor? Now, in some cases, some people are going to be like, well, Paul, you're talking value. You're saying that you're bringing value to the seller. How are you bringing value to the seller if you're trying to bring their price down?
Right.
Okay. Think of it this way. If a seller's property has been sitting on the market and nobody's making any offers on it, and the agent hasn't been able to properly demonstrate to the seller why they got to reduce the price, and then we come along and we plead our case and we do a good job negotiating and we do a good job explaining why it has to be at this price. Well, we just did the dirty work for the agent. Now we help the agent bring the price down to a price where it's going to cause it to sell, because the agent clearly wasn't able to do it on their own.
Exactly.
So value that helps the seller because the agent wasn't doing it. Value that helps the agent because now the agent gets a commission. Value that helps the investor because now I got it at a price where it's like they win, it's sold, and then we put a little bit of gravy on top so that we can make our money. We're not talking about making $100,000 on the deal here. That's not what we're doing. Yeah. Sure. And I tell people that all the time. Yeah. This isn't like we're gonna win, lose, win. No, we're gonna make it win, 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 and we make a little bit of gravy, and that's it. Right? I'm $10,000. I feel better going to sleep at night knowing that we'll do 2 or 3 deals where we made $10,000, as opposed to me doing one deal with a little old lady, and I took $40,000 away from her.
Exactly. Makes sense. I appreciate your answer, Paul. It definitely just opened a lot of other questions I had, but that was the main one. And
I get it. And that one's a tough one because you're not the only one that thinks that. Like explaining that question is going to continue. More people are going to come in and they're going to ask the same one. So soon I'm going to ask you to teach it to them.
Okay. Sounds good.
Okay, guys. 10, 11. I have to get going. If there's anything else, this is recorded. I'm going to upload it in a little bit into our group. But if you guys need anything else, and it's not deal specific, okay, deal specific, only send that to me. If it's related to a specific deal, I don't want other people seeing your deals. But if it's a general question, please do it through school. Yeah? Okay. Let's have a great day. Enjoy your day, you guys. Let's get to work.
Yes, sir. Thank you.